Bow wow.
Welcome to DogStar.
Each week we sit down with hip hop and R&B star, and this week we're sitting down with Bryant Slack, the photographer and
Multi-hyphenate, to say the least. Yeah,
a pillar of the hip hop community here in the Twin Cities for sure, man. So thank you so much for coming through.
I appreciate you and the kind words, man. Thank you.
Oh no, it's definitely the truth. You've been going crazy. Like I said, he's a photographer,
business owner, photographer,
we'll
promoter.
The
list is long.
But let's get it started. You weren't born in Minnesota.
Nope. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, East Flatbush.
Okay.
The hip hop. Yeah, the hip hop origins make sense.
roots.
Kind of. I mean, I was raised here, but
How old are you when you moved out here?
I was pretty young, so like 6.
Okay.
5 or 6.
Do you know the story of why your family?
Just different immigration stuff. Just not being my family not being from the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Where are they from?
Mexico.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So 5 or 6 years old, you're making memories at that point.
I think so.
What music do you remember from that era? What was being played?
I'd probably say some Biggie, a lot of random R&B. I don't remember much,
Yeah. Before you get to pick the music, a lot of times
Right.
in a life it'll be your parents picking the music, but do you where did was hip hop like always a part of your life, would you say?
I think it's just it's one of those things that once you see it and feel it and hear it, you just fall in love with it, and I think it was one of those things where it's like my brother had handed me one of his MP3 players back in the day, loaded with 3,000 songs, and I kind of just fished through it, and I was like, oh, I love this. Lots of the different parts of the culture has impacted a lot of the things that I do and what I'm passionate about. So.
Any music videos stand out when you were a kid that you can recall?
Oh man, probably the juvenile music video. Back that thing up.
There you go.
That's like the first one that I'm just like, all right.
Imprinted.
Well, you can't. I'm 7 or 8 years old. I'm like, whoa, like what's that? So.
Yeah. Sensational memory, I'm sure. And that will have you tuning back into MTV every day. It's
100%.
like, this is what they're playing on MTV.
And we know you work your magic, you put in hard work, more so behind the scenes. You got to be real with us. Did you ever rap yourself?
Oh, not officially. A lot of my friends, we were freestyling at parties.
Okay, that's fun.
Just nothing serious.
Again, heavily involved and influenced by hip hop and all it has to offer.
Right. Yeah, and then I know you're saying you weren't taking it seriously, but it would still be cool if you had one. Did you have an MC name back in the day?
No.
This is a safe place. You can tell us.
Nah, man. Nah, but part of that is, I think that's why I kind of, some of the stuff that I try to push, I feel that I've witnessed it firsthand as far as skill sets and people being able to freestyle. And it's like, hey, if I can't freestyle or do these certain bars, or if I can, then the person I'm promoting should be able to too.
Right.
So
at least as a minimum requirement.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where it's like, hey, like we're trying to push some real hip hop.
So when, and it might even be, high school into post-high school, when did you start to kind of absorb the importance of promotion, of branding? When did you kind of have the epiphany, or some people would say the jaded moment of seeing the world for the organizations and corporations that
For sure.
they are?
Well, so I have my bachelor's, and the thing that came with that was, hey, what do I want to do? And going into school, I already had a goal of like focusing on journalism specifically. I didn't know at the time that, that I was going to be doing what I'm doing now, which is great. I can't ask it for a better outcome.
Right.
But I was also like, okay, do I do I apply for a Star Tribune? Do I apply for? I pretty much just said, nah. I'm gonna start my own stuff and figure it out. And the whole marketing and stuff has always been important to me. Just how I indulge in everything.
Totally.
It's a buyer's world.
So what was your first venture then? Was it starting that website, or where did you?
It's MSP Hip Hop, Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner. That was my first kind of like on my own thing. You know, I've helped out with like smaller brands, clothing brands, and things like that, where I'm sure no one's heard of it, but I've gotten experience helping out my friends with marketing, promotion, getting the gear into the right hands.
Doing the what was it called? Something press kit, online press kit, or virtual press kit, or something.
So that's a like artistic development. You know,
did you learn how to do that in school, or
pretty much? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a press kit is like a resume, right? And like, why not try to help promote that within the community and try to even, you know, offer those services and help people kind of get their foot through the door. A lot of these venues, a lot of bigger organizations, they want that paperwork. They want that evidence of work that you've been doing. And an email and a press kit like that gets you so much further. I don't care what anyone says, man. The emails are powerful.
Well, why do you think that... I don't want to generalize. Well, I will generalize here, but why do you think that so many artists in the hip hop community wouldn't think twice about some of these things, about sending the VPK or their resume over? Or
I think maybe it's just I don't want to say the lack of awareness, but it could be the lack of resources. You know. Okay. It could be, hey, like, you need somebody in your ear saying, hey, like, there's a right way to do stuff if we want to take this serious. You know, we're all here right now because we're all very passionate and serious of what we're pursuing.
Totally.
You know, and I think there's a mutual respect there. And I think from the outside in, you know, you have 10,000 rappers, the land of 10,000 rappers, right? How do you stand out if you're matching some skill sets, or if you're, you know, not even there yet? How do you stand out to the outside looking in? And that's paperwork. It really is. You know, you can make something look perfect on paper, and that might be your shot.
Right.
You know?
That might be the end, especially to some of these, again, a generalization, older people who might own a venue or own some of these larger entities.
For sure.
When they see it on paper, it's like, wow.
Right.
This is, like you're saying, legitimate.
Here's my YouTube link. Here's my, you know, interactive press kit. You can play my video in the press kit and things like that. That's important. Just as it is important to have a website for whatever it is that you're doing.
So how does...
I think we're about to ask the same question.
Well, I was going to ask about the website because I got distracted.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. So the website, setting that up, did you like do all that, or what's like? Yeah, I mean, walk us through that process.
So, the website is, you know, if you're able to use any web building website or application, you're pretty much able to have a website. Some of it takes a little more time to learn. The learning curve is, you know, a little tougher, but for the most part, you can walk through it. But I think the harder part is customizing it to exactly how you want it to look. And, you know, if you want it to look super fresh and things like that, you got to know how to do a little bit of coding and stuff like that. So, so it's just kind of like you can go super basic. But I'm saying having a designated home for your stuff, whether it's art, recording, just anything, if you're, you know, even as a person, you could have your own website. This is what I have. Obviously, that might be a little redundant, but you know, I think it's good to show some organizational skills. People take you a little more serious.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm sure you're constantly updating and like keeping your website relevant. Is there any like do's and don'ts right now on a website, or anything that you hate to see on a website? Or
honestly, anything goes right now.
Cool.
Maybe just like try to take away the credits at the bottom where it says you're using Shopify or Squarespace or whatever, just so you look a little more official.
That's a good tip.
It's a small tip, you know what I'm saying? It's just something like that where it's like you don't want people clicking on the Shopify link at the bottom of your page. You want them to go back home.
Right.
You know? So.
Right, yeah. One less distraction, and then, it does keep it mysterious as well, because it's like, how'd they make this?
Right.
Understands the digital presence, understands the visual presence. Of that visual presence, master of the logos, master of the color schemes.
Yeah.
The color thing is something I didn't even think of maybe until 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
But can you comment on the importance of picking 2 or 3 colors to permanently associate with your brand?
Yeah. It kind of, I don't know, I didn't really have a process for it. It was more just like what looks cool to me, you know, and then what complements each one of the things that I'm doing. You know, I got 3 little pillars that I'm working with right now, which is like MSP Hip Hop, Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner, and
THCMSP.co.
Yep. Lavish Papers, and then 10,000 Lakes, which is like the physical publication for Twin Cities Hip Hop.
Yeah, not just the digital, but the physical.
Exactly, because we want to offer the real world some stuff. You know, there's a real world out there. Not everything is on Instagram and websites, and people need to definitely understand that. Everybody. So
something important to reiterate, because I mean, you understand the digital storefront, you understand the physical storefront, you understand the digital performance realm, you understand the physical performance realm. It's
well, like so with the logo thing, you know, it's just one of those things where I was like, with Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner, it's basically just black and white and maybe like a little bit of like this weird bronze gold
the sheen,
right. But like the only reason I did that is because I felt it went with everything. I can put it on my clothes and it looks okay.
Versatile, yeah.
Right, exactly. You can put it on a lot of different stuff without it messing up the aesthetic of what you're wearing that day. You know, I want everyone to be able to use the items I'm making and feel good about it. It's like, oh, this is like neon pink. Like, I don't know if I can, you know, like make things that are palatable.
That's smart.
The 10K Lakes is, if you didn't notice, like the logo scheme, the color scheme's almost the same.
They're quite similar.
But it's it's different though, you know? You can tell the difference. You're like, that's not MSP Hip Hop, that's 10K Lakes.
Yep.
So
that's nice.
We got to take a break in about 5 minutes, but can we start to dive into the formation of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis Twins, the Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner?
For sure, yeah, of course.
Where did did this come to you in a smoking session? When did the idea hit you?
Well, so back to the spot we were talking about, you know, what made you want to start doing all this? It's being in school and going to all these shows. And I'm like, what can I offer? You know, what can I do for myself? What can I do to help create something? And it kind of just went off in my head. I'm like, I go to all these shows. You know, I'm almost always front row, whether it's a bigger name. It wasn't too many local shows at the time, but, you know, I'd be getting into a lot of bigger name shows and I'm up front, you know, either smoking with somebody and this has been for a long time, man. Like,
enjoying the music, trying to be in the front.
Right, exactly. There was like a long time ago Smokers Club show. I think it was Fine Line.
Okay.
And I was like passing joints back and forth to Method Man. It was super dope.
Whoa.
Right. And I was like, all right, how do I, what kind of skill can I bring to make this experience occur more often or have me be put in a decent spot? And I was like, all right, I think I'm decent with photography. I think if I bundle all this up and call it Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner, I think that could do some cool stuff. And it's been doing its thing. So
wow.
And did you? So was the next step then like writing the recaps, or was it taking the pictures?
I'd say that since you know I was focused on the journalism, it was definitely writing.
Cool.
Like, the blog itself, Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner, started just writing. And those articles, whether, you know, just opinionated articles, whether it was like Schoolboy Q, best album of the year, or just whatever.
Yeah.
Having that be a platform and an outlet got me through a couple doors just writing.
Wow.
And then I was like, how do I make this cooler? Of course. I mean, it's natural or it's organic or it's like, yeah, I need pictures for my articles. Like,
Yeah.
and I want them to be sourced, legitimately sourced by me.
Exactly.
I don't have to give anyone else credit, you know? So
That's pretty slick. Yeah, it
Right.
was. I didn't know that it started as the blog, but that would make sense why it's not like, doesn't say written by you on
Right.
many of the recaps or anything.
No, I think that's kind of like where I'm like, hey, this is all me. It's like, it's kind of.
That's so cool. Yeah, what a cool way to do it. And then, so sorry, we only got like 2 minutes left.
All good.
How'd you go about like finding a camera, figuring out what camera would be right?
Oh. Well, I started off on a beginner's camera, which is just an entry level, under $1,000 camera, and that's just kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, you're not gonna go buy, $1 million camera and not know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to practice and get better, and that's one of those things where it's like, I was shooting some crazy stuff on that beginner camera. Some of it was almost low key. Some of it I love it more than I do on my new camera.
Mm.
And then my new camera is the bee's knees. So, but I think that's another important thing where it's like doing your research on it. What is your goal with this camera? Are you trying to go full cinematic? Are you, what is it that you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Because people will end up pulling a plunge on something crazy and not know a single thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like the market's kind of designed like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Research.
And yeah, what watching reviews or like asking?
For sure. YouTube, man.
Did you have any like maybe friends from school or like friends from where you're growing up that were like also into like this?
You know what? I was one of the only ones. No, not really.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Not really. It was just kind of my own little thing. I think a lot of the people I went to school with were pursuing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like, I guess, quote unquote, media or photography or publishing or writing. Maybe writing a little bit, but
Right. Because of the was it communications? What was your bachelor's degree?
It's technically it's technically a communications journalism driven degree.
Sick.
So I had like a minor in PR and a major in organizational. So it was like those two tracks were made. Like, we made those together so that I could achieve like a journalism driven degree.
That's definitely paying off.
We're sitting down with the well-educated Bryant Slack. Make sure you follow him at bryant.img. Make sure you follow the show at DogStar Podcast. We'll be right back.
Bow wow.
Welcome back to DogStar.
We're sitting down with Bryant Slack. Photographer is what you are telling people, but true pillar of the hip-hop community. I'll say it again. Make sure you can follow him at bryant.img on Instagram. Check out the website, thcmsp.co. There he's doing recap reviews. He also does the mic check. And
Gotta check those out.
And then Sucker Free is also based out of the Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner thing. But that's Bryant Slack's playlist on Spotify, and they are legit.
It's all local. Trying to help promote local artists. So
asking the artist beforehand, I assume.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I don't clear.
That's what it's all about. Kind of scooting back to the timeline. So you're putting together these show reviews. It's the blog merging with the photography days.
Yeah.
It's kind of gaining momentum. When do you take that pivot into printing it physically?
Oh, so I think that just kind of was an extra thing that I found to be necessary. I was like, how do I show my parents this?
Right.
How do I show grandma this? How do I show someone who's not online? Because I've run into people all the time like, well, I'm not on Instagram, and or when I'm out vending or something, some people aren't into that. And I'm like, well, maybe there's a way for them to walk away with something. and to show my work, to show the city, to show local artists.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be the best way to do it. People love magazines. So,
And obviously, we're talking about the 10,000 Legs magazine.
10K legs. Yeah, 10,000 legs.
And issue 2 dropped 2023, or issue 1 dropped 2023, and
March 3rd.
Yep, and then
Issue 2, December
Yep.
31st.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Issue 2 is dropping
was-
November 31st.
November 31st.
December.
Oh, I'm sorry.
December.
December 31st.
And that,
December,
since today is the 5th of January, that just dropped and was received spectacularly.
Yes.
How do you narrow down? It's got to be what?
Well, they did narrow it down, double the size. Issue 2, double the size.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
what was different with this second issue than the first issue?
The second issue, there's a lot more writing in it.
Sick.
There's overall just more content,
Awesome.
more photos. I'd say it's recapping a lot more.
Because it's the 50 years of hip
For
hop.
the 50 years of hip hop, I wanted to bulk it up, and 50 pages, 50 years of hip hop. I thought it would be perfect.
I see.
So, yeah, that's available on blurb.com, and you can get your physical order delivered to your house,
Hey, yo.
or you can
You-
download a PDF. So,
Okay,
Oh.
that having all those options available. Again,
Exactly.
that's such a good strategy
right.
Was
the
sorry.
for the people who aren't online.
Right. Throwing shows is also, I would say, a big part of what you're doing. You had
Yeah.
at least a handful of shows in 2023.
The physical experience.
Right.
Right. Was the magazine the first show that you did
like
you
for the
organized?
event?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just for this year or ever?
I guess ever.
Yeah,
Yeah. When did
so-
you start? When
So
did you?
we've been doing Can I Kick It's, this would be year 3.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, so first one was at Black Stack Brewery,
Okay.
Mhm.
and the second one was at First Draft in North Loop.
Sick.
Sweet.
So, yeah, I mean, the first one was just kind of like, hey, we're not, I mean, it's kind of the same criteria every time, but the first one was, we don't know how this is going to go. Not everyone had a crazy following at the time, which was great, because that proved to us that, hey, we can do this
Yeah.
without all these other numbers that are online.
Mhm.
We can throw shows. And when I say we, I say myself and then the featured artist,
Right.
per year, and then so the second one was at First Draft, and that was pretty cool too. It was just a different setting, it was like more like a bar. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little bit of a different feel, but people still showed up, and I think everyone had a good time. So
What was like maybe even a technical lesson that you learned from the first one to the second one?
Well, I'd say some of the things that I found to be pretty important weren't as important.
Like what?
So I would say maybe some of the promo, some of the promo. I was like, you can do as much promo as you want. It's not going to necessarily reflect your attendance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also say kind of the selection of artists, meaning the quantity.
Right.
You don't need 10 artists.
Right.
You don't need 8. I'd say don't go higher than 5.
Mm,
That's
At the end of the
solid.
day, you got to retain people's attention. So,
totally.
yeah.
And I mean, even if it's a side effect, giving artists more stage time.
Exactly.
More time to refine their craft.
Right, and that's kind of what we try to do with Can I Kick It, though, where it's like we want to provide an experience. So dividing that time up and splitting it up with dancing and
DJ
DJ
sets,
sets
yeah.
and starting off with the cipher, or the first one actually ended with a cipher, which was fun.
Nice.
But like,
Did the second one have a cipher as well, or no? Because it's kind
Nah.
of the bar vibe.
it didn't. We weren't.
Right.
Yeah, it was a different vibe. But this last one, I was like, I'm gonna do it the opposite. We're gonna open with the cipher.
Pimento.
Yeah, at Pimento. And shouts out to everyone that showed up. Appreciate you guys. We did great. We sold the venue out. And yeah, man.
I'm sure
Couldn't
they're
ask for a
excited to
better
have
result.
you back. gonna do it again there? Do you
so I
think,
don't wanna
or
speak-
bigger venue?
I don't want to speak too much on the
Right.
next one.
Okay.
The only thing I can say is that I'm hoping, crossing my fingers for a little bit of state funding.
Okay.
So with that being said, I'll just leave it at that, where it's like I'm hoping to expand this year.
Right.
Could we expect the return of DJ Crew on the ones and twos?
He did a great job. Shouts out DJ Crew, man. You got all the bangers, dude. That's something that I have. I'd have
Right,
to.
again.
I
Can't reveal it this time.
Right. Well, it's more just like I'm not really sure who I want to lock in yet. But DJ, he's a great candidate.
Right,
So
right.
Totally. And then I guess if we're talking 2023.
I
We're
think,
still
we're
talking?
talking about, I think, the third iteration of Can
Yep.
I Kick It? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I was gonna ask you. My mind's on the idea time capsule
Oh,
that
sure,
you
yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of
go
let's bring it up.
end in
Yeah.
the year with. What that's
Oh man.
How
So
the
for
heck-
those who don't know,
Okay.
right. Idea and abilities.
So I'll keep it simple. The idea time capsule is dedicated to selling some of his memorabilia from when he was alive. For those who don't know, Idea and Abilities, or Idea, was part of the group Idea and Abilities, and they were part of Rhymesayers for a long time. I think if I'm not saying anything wrong, I think that Idea helped start Rhymesayers with winning Scribble Jam and all that. But he's from St. Paul, and he won a Scribble Jam competition, and he was one of the best freestylers to come out of St. Paul specifically.
changed it. Yep.
Yeah. So he was on Sway in the Morning. It wasn't called Sway in the Morning at that time. That's how long ago it was. But it's just been a really cool project. We're selling a lot of his memorabilia through Nevermind Gallery.
He died, by the way,
Yes.
if you don't
Oh,
know.
right.
Yes, he's
But selling some of his memorabilia.
through Nevermind Gallery on behalf of his estate. We're just helping out with the project. I'm been in charge of taking all the pictures for the product.
Oh my gosh.
I've designed the website and the logo, and it's one of those things where it's like if you don't know who that is, it might not excite you, but if you know who he is, like you're pumped.
It's a
You're like-
passion
you're
project.
just like,
Yeah.
what is this? What? How did this happen? You know?
right. These
And it's just right place, right time,
That's amazing.
right? So I'm just grateful for that opportunity. And I'm able to help somebody out, help out with Nevermind Gallery, who's actually hosting the auction. It's a nonstop auction with new releases every Saturday.
Where is that at?
So it's mainly digital online
Oh,
stuff,
okay,
but
okay.
it's technically like above Maharajas.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect. Right up
so they
seventh
kind of
there,
just,
yeah.
sell,
Right in
sell
St. Paul.
collectibles, sell art and stuff like that. So
That's cool.
Nice.
And like you were talking before the show, kind of perfectly coinciding with your goal of highlighting
Right,
the,
and so it's
highlighting
like-
culture.
that's the kind of the behind the scenes stuff I'm talking about.
That's so cool.
Or it's like, I might not be as active on MSP hip hop. I might not be as, I might not be at every single show. That just, sometimes you need to take a small quote unquote break
But it doesn't
from
sound
the
like.
same flow of things.
Oh,
you know?
right. Because
Right.
you're always
Right,
contributing,
right,
you know,
for sure.
whether it's
So-
one outlet or
But
the
yeah,
other.
behind the scenes, the last 2 months, I've been taking photos for this idea time capsule.
Wow.
It's actually super cool seeing some of this older stuff. There's a lot of collabs. There's like a headshots tape that
Whoa.
people are bidding on right now. There's so much cool stuff. You guys got honestly like check the website out.
I'm a
There's-
big Rhymesayers history buff. I'll
Oh,
definitely have to
dude,
check it out.
this is right up
Yeah.
your alley then.
Sick.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. And so, yeah, that's just your photography expertise.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you, or I think I was telling both of you, but I landed a gig at a liquor shop, tobacco store, and on the backside though, I'm able to work on these projects because the owner
Oh,
Is,
that's the owner.
exactly.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
Wow.
he owns Nevermind Gallery, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like we're selling collectibles and selling stuff to auction off.
That's sweet.
So
yeah.
it
Is it
just-
all stuff just from Maharajas, or is he a collector too?
I think he just has his own stuff.
Okay. Because I was like, there's a lot of cool stuff in Maharajas. I wouldn't mind having.
Maha's already Maha's is already its own little thing.
Okay. Yeah, they've got the strangest knickknacks in there. It's,
right? Yeah, for sure.
It's a wild shop.
It really is.
Yeah, just bringing back Maharaja memories. That's crazy.
I want to kind of switch gears a little bit from, the live show.
Yeah.
To mic check.
Mic checks.
And what was some of the inspiration behind that? Whether it was, a thought or a feeling you had, or a national, international show that you had seen. Or?
I was 100% inspired by the Color Studio.
Yeah.
Which was it was just, I forget who they're with or if they're independent, but it's the Color Studio, which is just like the microphone being suspended in there, and, people.
The different lights.
And different color behind the.
Exactly. So I was like, it'd be cool to kind of make this a little more cinematic. Take the same format, make it a little more cinematic as far as like cutting, and framing, instead of just having somebody just, just spitting into a mic. I thought maybe we could spin it a little bit.
Yeah. Switch it up. Yeah.
Right. We've done, I think we're on 4. So there was Juice Lord.
Yes.
There was Righteous, Righteous MC, SJ, and this newer cat, Octavius.
Yeah. Friend of the show.
Yeah. Right. He's been doing his thing. I think he does a lot of work with Tim from Urban Lights.
He's with Urban World Management, I believe.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And
cool
shouts
stuff.
out to him, man. He's connected a lot. Like, thank you. You've connected a lot of people with me.
He's a big inspiration for us as well.
He's cool, man. Yeah.
If you haven't been to Urban Lights, it's basically, record store in St. Paul, but it's a museum as well.
Yeah.
For sure. There's a lot of history in there.
It's insane.
And it's right in your face. And if you don't know, you just don't know.
Right, right.
But shouts out to him. Everyone go shop at Urban Lights, man. It's super dope. So,
yeah, come to St. Paul. Check it out.
We got it.
We do. We got some cool spots. Speaking of cool spots, sorry.
Finish the thought. No, we got to finish the thought.
I was going to say, you got
cool
any spots that you're shooting the skyline from? Because you're a photographer, you've got some great shots of the skyline. Where the secret? Maybe not all the secret spots.
Right. Or how do you find a good spot?
Right.
Well, the St. Paul skyline. I live right on the bluff, so every time I come home, I'm going to work, I'm going down the hill. So I'm like, that looks so dope. It's like in the winter, it's like a red-gray color scheme. And it's really cool. It's like, it almost like messes with your eyes. But there's just a spot over there where I was like, this would be perfect, and it's convenient. So I don't know. It just it's sporadic, man. There's no like, I'm on the hunt.
Right.
Well, like Minneapolis is a little tricky though, because you almost have to have access to a certain building, in order to get like a decent shot. But you can always find something on the ground somewhere, but you're not going to get the whole city like that.
What are your thoughts on the First National Bank building, one being multicolored?
Whoa, what does that mean?
So the one, obviously. Yeah. Sometimes it's purple for print. Sometimes it's green and...
I respect that.
But it seems like the upkeep has been minimal.
Oh.
So while, yes, there are color capabilities, half of the bulbs might be out.
True.
Would you rather have it always be on but be red, or continue to be colored but kind of spotty?
I'm taking the red.
Okay, the classic.
I'm taking the OG red.
Keep it on.
You know what that is. Everyone knows what that is.
Right.
If you're from St. Paul, you know what that is.
And then in that regard, again, worst case scenario, this building is destroyed.
Oh,
where are we putting the sign?
That'd be
where are we displaying that?
Is that real? Is that happening?
I feel like let's say even in 100 years, if it happens.
Oh man!
Putting it in the History Center? Are we putting it in the Mears Park? Are we
just in my living room?
I mean, you could auction that off.
Right? Yeah, Mears Park would be cool.
Okay.
Raspberry Island.
Oh,
That would be sick.
Yeah.
Kind of have it propped up somewhere.
So, terrible parking, but there's got to be a show. On Raspberry Island, on Harriet Island.
Man.
I mean, I know it happened a few years ago, but...
It's been a discussion I've been having for the last 4 years.
It's
and it's like,
ongoing.
hey, like, I would love to throw a show there. That was where I wanted to do the first Can I Kick It?
Oh, whoa.
But you got to have the dough for it. You got to have money, man. There's liquor permits. There's, actually renting out the space.
Right. Porta potties.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole nine. And then insurance. And
you're talking Raspberry, not Big Boy Harriet.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Raspberry Island specifically, yeah.
Because when you see it, it's all like bougie weddings and graduations.
Exactly.
And
they have money.
Moolah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
We'll
get there, though. We'll get there.
We got to take a break here in about 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Let me make sure you're caught up on all the spots to follow them. So Lavish Papers, also Bryant Slack. So that's at Lavish Papers MN. Can I Kick It is the Instagram for the Can I Kick It show, the shows.
Yeah.
So that's Kick MSP. MSP Hip Hop on Instagram is for the Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner stuff, which has the mic check and the sucker free stuff, as well as the magazine stuff. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. THCMSP.co, DogStar podcast for us.
Bryant.img. Be right back. Bow wow.
Oh, wow.
Welcome back to DogStar.
Of course, we're sitting down with Bryant Slack.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for taking the time out to tell us how you do what you do.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, man. I love it. I love the process.
So speaking of loving the process, a lot of what you do, I would say, involves like curation almost, or like, picking what photo to do, picking what artist to have at a show, picking a venue,
right.
like picking a design.
Strategic decision after strategic decision.
Right.
Yes.
How, like, sometimes when you face a decision like that, like, let's say an artist is trying to, like, pick a artwork for their album cover.
Right.
Like, how do you know, like, when the idea that you have is the right idea?
Well, kind of just follow the artist's lead. One prime example would be Juice Lord's album, his last album, The Eighth Inning. We just set up a session at a studio, and he brought another photographer as well. His name is, I think he goes by Ant Bucks or something like that. He does a lot of work for various music endeavors. I don't know his specifics, but the way that went, we're just like, I was just there to be supportive of the artist. That's it. I wasn't like, oh, we're shooting the album cover, or, oh, I'm just like, we're just going to take some pictures and go with it, right? And I think it took him a while for him to decide which way he wanted to go. Mm-hmm. There was 2 different photographers, 2 different styles. And I'll never sway an artist in my favor. I'll never be like, dude, you gotta choose this picture. This is gonna be the one. Even though I felt like it was. You know what I'm saying? And it was the one. That's the thing. That's why I can say that. I felt like it was the one. And the way that happened was just like, we need something that looks epic. We need something that looks clean. And I just took inspiration from other albums that were released through well-known artists. And it's kind of, he put his spin on it. I was like, all right, it's a side profile shot facing left. But, it's a whole, like, baseball theme album.
Right.
And it worked perfectly. I was thinking about baseball cards. I was thinking about music. And I was like, all right, he already has the jersey on. Let's go with it. Like, let's try to do this, And I had a goal as far as just, like, the feel, the aesthetic of it. And that was it.
Wow.
And so there was, I don't know, a lot of it isn't really like, all right, this is an album cover. This is what this is. Sometimes it just ends up being, hey, this is a dope shot. We're going to use it. I'm like, sweet. Please do. This is what we're working for. This is what we're collaborating for, And actually, Juice Lord's album, The Eighth Inning, was featured in the Star Tribune, for, I believe it was top 10 albums released this past year. And we were really stoked, you know. It's like my picture was the album.
Yeah.
The album was pictured in the newspaper, and of course that's a win for the artist. You know, it's him, it's his work, it's his project, and it was really great to see the goal was achieved.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool to learn that sometimes it is just a feeling.
Yeah.
And again, I really commend you as an artist, as a person, as a pillar in this hip hop community for not saying, "Hey, my picture's better,"
right?
Letting the art speak for itself.
That's it. I know that there will always be somebody better than me out there, as far as my skill sets go, and I know that there's people that I'm better at doing certain things than they are, and that's just part of the game. I think it's just kind of the way that you present it and how consistent you are about it, and if they take you seriously or not. You know, it's one of those things that you just have to be authentic. That's what it comes down to. You can't go into an event or a gig thinking like, well, how am I going to capitalize off of this? Or how am I going to... It's more like, my question is always, how do we want to represent the city? How do we want to represent this music scene? And that's just a biased opinion. You know, this is how I want, you know, let's say somebody from Denver comes in. This is how I want them to see our city, or this is how, you know what I'm saying? And
totally,
it might not align with everyone else's aesthetics or kind of
like motivation, structure.
Yeah. But I think that at the end of the day, Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner stands on authenticity. It stands on skill sets. And that doesn't always mean a certain type of music. You can do trap music and you can really kill it. And I can really respect it, and you're doing great work. I'm going to promote that. I'm going to push that because you're taking it seriously. You know, I'm at a point in my life where it's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm serious. It's got to be worth my time.
Right. There won't be any whole or half butting it. You'll be whole butting it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And and I think that, you know, with that, there's that causes, I don't want to say friction or turmoil, but it causes differences. You know, it's like, oh, why isn't he posting me? Or why, you know, or whatever it might be. You know, I think Twin Cities Hip Hop Corner has like 2,000 followers, but they're all real, organic followers. It's not bots. At least I hope so.
You heard it here.
But, you know, with each follow is a real person there. And those likes and the following numbers don't always reflect how you do at an event. They don't always reflect your, you know, the outcome of how well the product will sell or anything. I think people get carried away on the online stuff, which I can appreciate, but it's also like, you got to be able to back this up in real life.
Exactly.
And that's, you know, you need to be able to have this translate online almost the same way it would in the real world, you know? And you see a lot of recap for events and stuff, and you're like, that wasn't like that. That didn't look like that. You know, and sometimes I get it, you know, it comes with the trying to be a better videographer and a better photographer, where you want to make things look a lot cooler than they are. But I like to go for more accuracy than anything. You know, like if there isn't a crowd there, I'm not going to take pictures of the crowd.
Right.
We're going to try to push this, you know, push a different narrative. Like, let's focus on the artist.
Yeah. Do you ever think of, granted, a majority of people may be documenting the concert on their own phones with their own videos. Sure. Do you ever think about it in like a historical context, that this photo, this footage might be the thing referenced in 30 years, 40 years when it's, you know, studied, whether it be by rappers or students or whatever? So
initially, no. I didn't really think about, oh, this could be referred to when I'm, you know, 50 years old,
or like it's chosen as the obituary photo of one of these artists,
right, or something like that. But I that realization only kicked in as of recently, working on this idea time capsule.
I suppose,
where it's like every little thing that this guy had or would produced or is historic, you know, whether he meant it to be or not. So now I'm looking at things where I'm like, okay, I should probably start like keeping some of the stuff that I would normally just say, hey, forget this, you know. So everything I have is backed on a drive, you know, multiple drives now, and whether it's digital or physical, I need a copy of it for myself for later.
I like
so
that.
I can at the very least show, you know, my kid or whatever it might be, you know, whoever it might be, I can show them that. So
I thought of a wild question.
Let's
So
hear
you're
it,
a
man.
photographer. People might use your photographs without getting your permission.
yeah.
What's that world like for photographs in particular? Like,
So the kind of photography that I'm in, you know, it's mainly event. You know, it's people performing. And so a lot of the times when I'm given a pass, though my rights are given up. And most of the time, if it's either on contract or it's just a given, you know, this is what this is, you know, like you're doing, this is for publishing, anyone can use it.
Right.
But if you're a decent person or a decent artist, you're going to give the person who took those photos credit. When things like that happen and I don't receive credit, it's just a reminder that, hey, maybe next time do it a little more professional. You know, give that person a heads up, like, hey, you know, I'd appreciate a tag at least a couple times before. You don't have to tag me every single time,
Right?
But at least so that, you know, people know. You know, it's a photography and the whole Instagram thing it's a weird place. But there are certain things where it's like, hey, like if you're getting paid, it's theirs. Well, it's mine first. That's how it works. But you know, you sign a contract. Most of the time, it's like, hey, you're giving up your rights. We technically own this now. I'm like, great. This is part of the game.
But you're still able to use it like in your CV?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Because, you know, I'm the original creator of it. So it's mine.
But then what would you do, again, a very, very hypothetical, very specific, you know, 10 years down the road when, let's say, a decent level artist uses your image.
Right.
Let's say as their album cover, doesn't hit you up or maybe mirrors the image and thinks that they're going to get away with it.
Well,
what's the process of contacting people, or doesn't immediately go to court or anything,
right.
does
So
it?
the first thing as a photographer, every photographer should be doing is putting their information, their publishing information, whether it's your name, your last name, your company, and putting it into your camera. There's a setting in there. There's an option to, you know, put your name, because every time you download this file, your name's going to be in it.
Well, like embedded.
Encrypted. Yeah.
Oh,
metadata or whatever.
Exactly.
Genius.
Okay.
So that's one way where it's like, hey, I have proof of this, you know?
That would even, and that, I guess, in this instance, let's say I'm the evil corporation who, you know, record subsidiary that copyrights it under, you know, evil records. I submit it as my own.
Right.
You could still, again, probably in court, submit this metadata as being predated to my copyright date.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's the first way. And then the second way is just kind of like, it's just very simple, you know, hey, I took this photo. I have evidence of this. This was flipped a certain way. There's a lot of politics in it. And it's kind of just being able to back yourself up.
And then in, again, a lot of the artists' situations, again, generalizing here, lawyers cost thousands of dollars.
Right.
The court of public opinion doesn't always agree with what's right.
Exactly.
So you can only go so far with, you know, arguing with someone in an Instagram comment or a DM.
Right. So like the stage that I'm at right now, just a prime example, I think this is a good situation. I don't have any ill feelings about it. I took pictures at Fine Line for Souls of Mischief, and they're under hieroglyphics.
Sick. And
I actually got in contact with Opie, which is, you know, one of the head rappers on Souls of Mischief. So basically, you know, the Fine Line, First Avenue.
Right.
I took pictures for their event, and I'm able to publish it on my page, but it turned out that he wanted one of the pictures to advertise his merch. I took a picture of the back of his jacket, and it said 93 to Affinity, and he used that for promo for a solid 3 months this past summer, like on their tour. So something like that where it's like, oh, you know, I could be like, hey, like, can I get a cut or whatever? But at the end of the day, I already kind of gave those rights away.
True.
And it's good for me too.
Right.
You know, it's like they're sharing my picture. That's my picture, and that's that, you know?
Heck yeah.
So, like, that's one of the instances where I'm like, hey, that's cool. Use that. I'm cool with that, you know? So
I commend that.
Yeah, that would mess me up. I would need a week or two to recover.
it depends.
From something like
It just
that.
depends on the situation. If you know, if there's something that doesn't align with what you're trying to do, you might feel a certain type of way. Or when artists hire you to take photos of them and they don't necessarily give you the credit, that's also kind of a 50-50 where it's like, all right, you did hire me for this. You don't necessarily need to give me my credit, but it's also good for my business. You know, it's good for me, for my gigs to land more stuff. But then again, that's where those EPKs come in, you know, where it's like, hey, I'm able to show all my work and you're in my portfolio at this point. So it's a two-way street.
And it doesn't sound like you've had to deal with too much litigation at this point.
And that's the thing too, you know, picking the right person to do work with, you know. There's a lot of trust. There's a lot of artist, photographer trust where it's like, hey, maybe don't post these right away. We're going to use them as rollout. Or maybe, hey, we did this certain thing. Let's not talk about it till it's time to.
Because I'm sure, again, some people would want to release a 27, you know, photo, one post, 27 photo, you know.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of where it's like, you have to be good at balancing that. You know, when you're so passionate about something and you want to show the world via online, you have to think about how that might hurt you later.
Did you have a good maybe equation or easy way to format a good rollout, whether it's 12 months, 6 months, you know, 7 days, you know?
Yeah, well...
I mean, again, generalizing, we only have about 2 minutes left,
right,
so I could ask you an easier question.
So essentially, you know, just try to give yourself enough time to promote. You know, 30 days is fine, but I think 2 months does it justice.
Okay.
You can, you know, and people like to be involved in the process too. It's like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Walk them through that, and then this is what we're doing. All right, this is what's available now, and just have every, you know, aspect of this project and present it more professionally. Like, hey, I'm gonna drop this magazine, but I'm not just saying, hey, I'm gonna drop this magazine. I'm gonna wrap it up and put a nice, you know, bow on it and make it look presentable.
And make us as fans and as consumers feel like we're part of the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it's at right now.
That's what's up.
That's a good
People
story.
love behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, but you also got to do it the right way. So.
Yeah, you were saying that anything you do these days, you're taking it like very seriously, and I assume that's something you look for in the people you work with.
Yes.
What are some like signs that somebody is taking whatever it is you're working on seriously?
Like the green flags?
Yeah.
So the green flags are someone who introduces themselves with their first name and says, hey, you know, I have this project I want to work on. This is what's going on. And that alone goes a long ways. It's not just like, here's a link to my song.
Yeah.
So you gotta
that personal touch.
Right. And the other green flag would be emailing. I'm gonna take you more serious if you're sending me an email. We all have access to one now, you know what I mean? And that kind of sifts you out of the whole inboxing thing.
Right.
You know, where it's like, okay, this guy's for real. Like, he's emailing me. He emailed me. Hopefully, emailed me a couple different links, a brief bio. That's like minimum. But I'm hoping that they have, you know, the EPKs lined up and all the necessary.
And if they don't, they're talking to the right guy.
And that's the thing where it's like, I want to help. You know, it's like, hey, maybe this is where we can start. I can't just give you a mic check. I can't just do these things. I need a resume because I can show you my resume. That's for any artist, you know? So.
Totally. Well, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, Bryant Slack. You can follow him on Instagram, bryant.img. You can follow us, DogStar Podcast. Bow wow.
Thanks for having me, guys. Shouts out DogStar Podcast.
You're the man.